Here is a picture I drew of old Sir Shitpile, I mean Crocodile, brothers and sisters. If you like this type of drawing and more, remember to follow me on all the social networks.
Chapter 204 of One Piece. This is Red. It is also.
Well, hello, my brothers and sisters of the Nerd Nation. I, as always, am Jim, here to bring you another review on the awesome, awe-inspiring tale of One Piece. Our last chapter, of course, saw us with things starting to, I guess you would say, slightly look up. Nico Robin, though, was run through by Croc. And and at the end of the chapter, and then, of course, the rest of the Straw Hats were feverishly looking for the cannon. Vivi, though, when I say things were looking up, Vivi, it all of a sudden hit her where she thinks, or where she knows that the cannon would be hidden, and her and Usopp, Usopp goes and fires one of his stars up in the air to kind of call everybody back together and say, hey, this is where we're going to meet up. So that was the part looking up. And then, of course, at the end of the chapter, Luffy went and got up out of his little, nap/coma that he was in. and and just the resolve of this kid, man, I tell you. And then he looked at the stairway that was starting to be, kind of sandified and collapsed by the secret one that led down into the mausoleum that was being, of course, dried up and turned into sand by Croc. And he was like, that looks crocodile-ish. So that's where the chapter left off. That's where this one picks up. And ultimately, this is just, this is a really, really fun one, I tell you, because, a few chapters ago, we got to see Luffy finally connect and hit Croc and, find out his weakness and everything else. But this one just really, it was fun, and it really takes the cake, man, because I'll get right into it here. So we wind up having a couple of pages towards the beginning, and it's Usopp going in, and Vivi's like, I gotta go, and Usopp's like, I'll just leave a note here for the guys, for the rest of the crew. So then you go and you see them a couple panels later after you see like Zoro and Sanji and all them, like, seeing the star and trying to get, back to where they, where obviously where the star came from, where Usopp and Vivi are. And but then you go and you see some of the Baroque Works agents, and they're all like, oh, haha, we found you, princess. And she's like, thank you for leaving a note. So Usopp's like, oh no, I led them right to us, And it's just a funny exchange, He goes and then he goes and he pulls out like this chalkboard and starts doing like a nails on a chalkboard and does something like Usopp sound something, And they're all like, oh God. And he's like, no, make our run for it now. They wind up leaving, They wind up taking off. So Usopp is again up to his funny antics. And the neat thing about this, and I think really the fun thing about this tale is that it's goofy, but yet it's serious. It's really got some great explanations, some great world building, the characters, the depth. There's so much to like about it that it's so difficult to find anything to not like about it. Sure, you could sit around and you could go, well, this can't happen, and this is a plot hole, and this is a... But, ultimately, there's very, very small gripes that I've had so far because it's just so much goddamn fun. And it can make you smile on one hand, and then on the other hand, it's like, it's heartfelt, and it's just heartwarming, and some of the touching things that happen. Because then it goes, and it goes to the Luffy and Croc over there. Well, Luffy going and getting to Croc. And Luffy goes, and he's running, and his sandals are gone, he's bloodied, he's beaten, and he runs down this stairwell, and he's going in there because he's going just, just head first, man, balls to the wall for Croc, right? And he's coming in there, and he goes and he sees everything that's of course, going on there and what have you. And it was really kind of cool because he comes in and Croc's like, God, how many times do I have to kill you, And I'm thinking in my mind, you stupid shit, why don't you actually make sure that he's freaking dead? You did the classic villain nonsense where you go and you just assumed he was dead after you did something to him, but you didn't actually finish him off and make sure that damn heart wasn't beating anymore. But hey, whatever, typical villain stupid shit 101, But so he goes and he's just like, why would you keep coming at me and this and that? And so Luffy goes and he goes, I want, because you still haven't given back what you're supposed to give him, what you stole. And he's like, what do you mean, And he's like, the hopes of the people, the this, the that. He goes through all these different things, the water, and Luffy's like, no, the kingdom. And it's a really cool speech by Luffy because it shows all these flashback moments of Vivi. And I never even thought about these. And this is where Oda's genius comes in because all this was contrived and created, 100 or 50 chapters ago or whatever. And, for this moment. And it shows all these different instances of where she's been obviously upset because of something that's been going on in her kingdom. And it shows these different flashback moments. Luffy, when he's talking about her kingdom, because a lot of people were like, well, the kingdom's not lost yet, you know. Well, Luffy's way of thinking, and what winds up coming out through this series of flashbacks that he sees about Vivi, and a lot of times she's upset, she's frowning, she's crying, right? And what winds up coming to a head with it is that, you know, because he still hasn't taken the kingdom in his mind. You know, he's like, I'm in the process of doing that now, you know, type of thing. And Luffy's just like, no, her kingdom was gone the moment we set foot on, you know, in this land or whatever. And then you go and you see this series of flashbacks, and it's really cool how they're portrayed and shown, because you see all this different stuff about, well, this was a great land once, and this was and oh my God, I can't believe, I don't want anybody to die, right? And Luffy's just like, he goes and he says, because if this was her kingdom, he goes, and if the kingdom wasn't already lost, she'd be smiling a lot more. And it's that one-track mind that Luffy has about things, and it's so true when you think it's so simple, but it's so true and it's so profound if you think about it. If there was hope left in the kingdom, and if the kingdom was had any semblance of being saved or was hers still, and her father's, her family's, and what have you, she'd be smiling a lot more, wouldn't she? She wouldn't always be upset, as she has been for the last 100 chapters since we met her, under all this duress and this stress, thinking about losing her kingdom, her family, her subjects, all the people that she cares about, right? Doesn't want anybody to die. So it's so just profound how Luffy just does that and brings that out, right? And he's just basically like, I'm here to beat your fucking ass because I'm going to take that back, right? And I'm not going to stop until it happens. So Croc's like, whatever, right? Luffy comes at him and just in a titanic, oh man, it just shook the frickin' ground, right? When I read it, I had to look at it a few times because the way it's drawn, it's just so, you know, nails Croc. And Croc is like, whoa, and blood comes flying out of his fucking head everywhere in his face, you know, and he's just like, whoa, how did he hit me? You don't have any water, you know, or how did you hit me? You don't have any water, whatever he winds up saying or alluding to, right? Luffy goes and jacks him up again, and bop, you know, nails him again. And Croc's getting beat around over here, and I'm thinking, son of a bitch, what? How is he? I mean, you know, it isn't just sheer force of will it's doing this, right? We find out a couple of panels later, and because Croc goes and looks at Luffy and whatnot, and Luffy, if you remember, was just bleeding from everywhere, especially from that wound and whatnot, from being hurt and whatnot. He goes, did you use blood? And Luffy goes, blood works like water too to make sand hard, doesn't it? So, I mean, Luffy is using the pints of blood that's in his goddamned body, right, as the moisture that he needs. He's lubing up his hand with the blood that he's got, right, you know, from the wounds that he sustained, to go and make Croc solid enough to beat the living shit out of him, you know. So this is definitely, for me, a really cool, fun turning point. This is the point where I in the major battle, where I start to get excited because I feel like the tables have turned, and I feel like there's nothing that can top this. You know what I mean? And really, that's what it is. So Croc goes, and he's just like, all right, you know what? Even though you're a pest and you're a nuisance, I gotta, you know, you're a little shit. I gotta admire your resolve, your, you know, the fact that you just keep coming, right? So he goes and he pulls like this sheath off of his hook, you know, and Luffy's like, what the hell's he taking that off for? What's that? What could that be? You know, what possible weapon could he have other than turning into sand and dehydrating people and all this other shit, you know, and having this hook and just being a dick with eyes. And so Croc goes and he says, listen, you know, we're pirates, and you got to understand that this is going to be a fight to the death. So the hook is poison, is what it is, you know. So Luffy's like, I understand. You know, he's like, I get it, no problem, you know, no big deal at all. So, and he's like I said, you just feel like it's these two titans, like this clash of the titans, you know, like they're about to go at it and whatnot, but you feel like, because then, you know, then Croc is just like, all right, that's fine, whatever, you know, I killed you in the desert, I killed you at the palace, now I'll kill you in the mausoleum, like 3 times will be a charm, I'll, you know, whatever, I'll kill you again if you want it, you know. So they're about to just go and just clash, right? And then Oda goes and does what he does so good, and he says, fuck you can't find any more out right now. Turn the page, and all of a sudden it's like, it's back to, we got to defuse the bomb. We've got just, you know, we've got seconds left to defuse this thing, you know. It's really come up to a climactic head, you know. So we wind up going and seeing, and Zoro's running like hell trying to get to the square and what have you, and all of a sudden he comes across a bunch of Marines, and and he's like, oh crap, you know, the Navy, right? He's thinking they're going to cause problems for him and try to stop him, and they're like, you got to go that way, turn right, and this thing. He's like, what the hell, you know? And then you go and you see a bunch of Baroque Works agents, bodies on the ground and everything, and then you go and you see Vivi and Usopp real quick, like, what the hell, you know? you see Tashigi, and it ends with Tashigi and a bunch of the Marines, the Navy, doing the right thing, because, remember she was given free reign from Smoker before he left. He was like, you do what's right. You want to pursue the Straw Hats, you want to do with Crocodile, whatever you want to do, I'll back you up, okay? Even if you fuck things up, I'll back you up, is what he said. Now, Tashigi went and she did the right thing, because she goes and she's like, you fools, go ahead and take care of it. We're helping you, right? They took out the Baroque Works agents to free them up. Go defuse that bomb. That's what you got to, I keep saying bomb, but, go find that bomb, that cannon, whatever that's going to go off, So ultimately, that's how the chapter ends, of course, with us seeing the good guys, kind of starting to win, so to speak, and really seeing this temporary alliance between the Straw Hats and of course, the Marines, kind of for the common goal, the common good, ultimately. Let's save the kingdom and save millions of people, right? I mean, that's a good goal. So I guess that is what leads into my chapter question. What do you think about Tashigi and her kind of 180 almost with things, you know what I mean? Because when she came here initially, it was coming after the Straw Hats, if you remember correctly. And of course, between her getting her ass kicked by Nico Robin, being made fun of and pretty much spit on by Croc, and then seeing Luffy and how he's just like, where's Croc? Obviously her attitude, she changed her viewpoint and did a 180, and she's now at least temporarily going to help the Straw Hats. So what do you think about that? I know the obvious answer to me anyway is she's doing the right thing. She's trying to save people for the greater good. But that's what she was trying to do beforehand anyway, because the Straw Hats to her is this big threat. So what do you think about Tashigi and of course her decision to at least temporarily aid the Straw Hats? Now, I'm excited for everything to come to a head over here, so I am going to leave you guys for just a moment so I can read the next chapter. But please leave your answer to that question that I gave in the comments down below, or just comments in general are always fun. Feel free to hit the thumbs up, the like button if you think that I deserve it, and subscribe if you have not done so already. We will look forward to catching all of you in the next one, Nation. Hey, when am I gonna appear again? Shut up.